So I've been watching some videos from this guy Accolon, and I really like his stuff. So let's see some more interesting WoW lore that that Blizzard is completely and utterly destroying. Go ahead and mute that.
We have to talk once again about another part of the story that has been spoiled on the PTR.
This is a little bit loud.
At this point, I don't even think it needs to be said, but my low... Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk once again about another part of the story that has been spoiled on the PTR.
So, I mean, obligatory pause moment for whenever you say the PTR, because I have to completely and utterly bash them for still doing a PTR, for not actually having the common fucking courtesy of QA testing their own game and actually just leaving that to the players. And then on top of it, just revealing story elements to your players ahead of time. You know, just like a little thing. Let me just spoil the whole story on this PTR, because why not? You know, it's just like, why bother with giving the players a good story when we can give them a crap story and then spoil it on top of it?
At this point, I don't even think it needs to be said, but my loathing of the PTR is next
Loathing is a
level.
good word.
What's the point? So I want to make one thing clear before we even get into the story. Why do I hate the PTR so much? Why do I hate the PTR so much? Because not only does it spoil the story for everyone that actually cares about the story, but it also doesn't even spoil the story in any sort of order, right? It's not chronological spoiling. We get parts that should actually be discovered at the end.
It's just
being
breadcrumbs.
spoiled right at the beginning. And then you get parts right at the beginning that's only going to get spoiled at the end. So you can't even build a chronological story throughout the PTR. Or throughout the actual game, right?
That would make too much sense.
Of what the events are about, because the story gets spoiled willy-nilly all over the place. Boom, boom, boom. Here's a bunch of story for you. If you actually have an MMORPG, then this is perhaps the worst way to do an RPG. And I realize that none of us complained. I myself never complained last year or the year before. We always loved when it was spoiler season for the PTR. But since playing Final Fantasy...
Exactly. That was the thing that I was going to... That's 100% the point that he's about to make. But it's like, we never used to complain. The World of Warcraft player base never used to complain because we didn't know any better. We just didn't know any better. We had no idea. We didn't know that there was another way of doing things. For us, it's like, hey, we get to hear about the story now from the data miners. Like that's always been the case for us that liked WoW. That's the way that it was. Like, hey, let's see what they've data mined next. Let's see where the story's going to go next, right? Like that was always the thing. We didn't know any better. And then some of us tried out Final Fantasy XIV and were like, hey, you know what? This PTR thing is a piece of trash. You know, it's actually really cool when the raids come out and nobody knows what's going on, as opposed to the raids only come out after the video guides have already been done for them, after the DBM's already been updated for the raids. That's not the cool thing, right? So it's like, after we've experienced it in 14, now we're like, hey, you know what? This is actually the better way of going about things, rather than getting shit spoiled for us, and maybe even having like a good fucking story. Imagine that, right? That's probably too much to ask for.
And I know a lot of you that might be watching this are sick of the comparisons between World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, but you
Too fucking bad! Too fucking bad!
You always compare stuff to their closest possible competitor, right? And in this case, it's Final Fantasy. The people who played Endwalker discovered the story of Endwalker literally the day it launched.
Yep.
And not a minute earlier.
Yep.
There was no way for you to know what the story of Endwalker was going to be beforehand. Because there's no PTR. Literally zero PTR. In WoW, I already know how 9.2 is going to end, and 9.2 isn't anywhere close to being released.
Isn't that
I know
amazing?
exactly how it's going to end. That's not how a story should be told. So just want to make that clear. I really can't stand the consistent breaking of the story through the PTR and the story spoilers of the PTR. But anyways, because I care about the money, I'll cover it anyways. Because it's out there, I may as well.
At least
right?
he's real. I care about
Sad
the
but
money.
true. All right, so we speculated for a long time, ladies and gentlemen, on what broke the machine of death. It was a massive conversation for a long time at the beginning of Shadowlands, and we went all over the place. At the time, I made a very good and compelling case for why Argus doesn't work for the breaking of the Arbiter, and it boils down to timeline. That's it. It boils down to timeline, right? Argus gets killed, almost 2 years after Ysera enters the Shadowlands. But we are told that Ysera was one of the last souls that actually made it into the Shadowlands. And this was literally from Ian Hazikostas himself at BlizzCon. Said that Ysera was one of the final souls
but why would Ian
that made it
Hazikostas know?
into the Shadowlands. 2 years later, the story makes no sense. Literally 2 years on, the story makes no sense. How? How did any of this happen? Because now you have Argus dying, right? You have Argus dying, but there was a massive amount of time between the death of Ysera and Argus dying. How does that happen? I believe that was a pretty compelling case. Blizzard did not agree, all right? And so I'm okay with that. No worries. I'm happy to take that out. I apparently got it wrong. But there's something else that pisses me off even more about this reveal, that Argus is the one that took down the Arbiter. Let me see if I can find the dialogue. Maybe you guys will see it immediately. All right, so we have, the time has come, the halls have healed. A new Arbiter waits in the wings. The chorus assembles, the vessel awaits. Your voice must join them. Dissonance, a melody lost long ago. Something is interfering with the ritual. Long have we awaited this moment, the banished one's gambit made manifest.
So it's gonna be Argus at the end of the day. I believe that it was that Bellilar made like a video making the case for Argus because of the colors and whatnot, and the color of the red thing that goes through the, what's it called again? The Arbiter? The Arbiter, yeah. Color of the red thing that goes through the Arbiter.
World soul twisted by death, a maul with which to crush the Arbiter. And now it shall take this vessel. Argus will be eternal. So effectively, what did they just do? They basically said that Sargeras has also been a pawn in the games of Zuvul. Now, at this point, I need to point out that none of Sargeras' story makes sense. They have literally now said that Sargeras was working with Zuvul, raising Argus and sending Argus to the Pantheon. So Argus was literally created by death, a world soul twisted by death. Argus himself says that it was Sargeras that twisted him, not Zuvul, but never mind, right? It was Zuvul all along that twisted Argus into what would all.
Listen, let me tell you how the story works now with the jailer. Okay, let me tell you exactly how it works. The jailer is kind of like Asmongold in Blizzard's eyes. What does that mean? Every time something goes wrong, it was the jailer. Every time something bad happens, it was the jailer. Literally any event that you can remember from World of Warcraft that was pretty fucked up, it was the jailer. He did literally everything. Okay? Like the Dark Portal, the invasion, that was the jailer. Anything that you can think of. Like Mancrick's wife, that was the jailer. Literally anything. Garrosh, that was the jailer. Anything that you can think of. It was the jailer. He was behind everything. The jailer was playing 20D chess. 20D chess. You guys, you can't comprehend. This is actually why, by the way, this is why the story doesn't make sense to a lot of us. It's because the jailer is just so smart. He's just so smart that your average player can't even begin to understand the depths of the jailer's plan. You just can't understand. You can't even fathom it. Literally anything. Was the jailer behind the Dwarven Kingdoms? Yes, he was. The jailer was behind the curse of the flesh. There you go, dude. Ulduar, you think it was the old gods? No, it was the jailer. Accolon, it's all part of the jailer's plan. You just don't understand. You just don't get it. That's the problem. We're all too dumb to understand how smart the jailer is. Because he's the smart one. We're the dumb ones. We're the dum-dums. If only I had enough IQ to understand the jailer's plan, dude. I wish I could. Maybe then I could understand. Maybe then I could enjoy the story, but I'm too dumb to understand the genius of the jailer. The jailer he's just like Chuck Norris, basically, dude. You know? The jailer is Chuck Norris in World of Warcraft. That's what it is.
Ultimately bring down the Arbiter. This to me is the perfect example of shoehorning a character into a story in which it does not belong. Zuvul does not belong in that story. Which makes me think that Blizzard may not have had the idea of Zuvul even so far back as Argus and the Legion. Because there is so much that they would have had to do differently. Chad, am I wrong? Am I completely wrong? Because
Nope.
from what I know about the Argus storyline and the Legion storyline and Sargeras' storyline, I don't read Zuvul. Zuvul does not fit into that story. I don't see how Zuvul fits in that story. There's too many holes in that fucking story for Zuvul to fit into it.
No.
Because if Zuvul
You're just not smart enough. That's the
is
problem.
the one that manipulated Sargeras, then Sargeras did a whole bunch of things that made no sense. Like a whole slew of things that made no sense. Argus himself existing, he never spoke about Zuvul. Like, not once did he mention Zuvul. He spoke about Sargeras and the Burning Legion and the stuff that the Burning Legion did. Now, I've said before, there is an argument to be made that Sargeras and Zuvul worked together. There's definitely speculation elements of that they could have worked together. But this makes it seem like he was he was basically pulling the strings of everything in the story.
Because he was. We 100%. Just didn't know.
He's the one who pulls all the strings, and everyone else just has to dance like puppets behind this big bad guy that has only just been introduced. I'm sorry, but I don't follow the story. This entire story makes no sense to me. I don't know how. I don't know. Steve the Newser will have to give me a massive explanation for how this works. But of course, I'm not going to get that explanation because things are never explained.
Why?
And that drives me so nuts that I am just left to believe this. I'm asked to believe it, and I don't believe it. I don't think it's true. I'm a little bit pissed off. I'm a little bit triggered, but I'm trying to stay more balanced and not be openly triggered the whole time by everything Blizzard does. I'm trying so hard, and I don't think most of you realize how hard I'm trying to give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt. Genuinely trying to give Blizzard the benefit.
Yeah, so this is probably going to end up being a separate video, but like, guys, literally, like an hour ago or something like that, I said on stream, it doesn't matter what Blizzard does, there's always someone trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. What I said was that someone from Blizzard could literally walk up to somebody else in the middle of the street with a gun, shoot them dead on in the face for no reason whatsoever, and somebody's going to come along and they're going to go like, you know, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They could literally murder someone in cold blood in the middle of the street, and there's going to be someone trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was in self-defense. Clearly. Why wouldn't it be? It doesn't matter what they do. And I'm not blaming Accolon, by the way. I just think it's funny that we talked about this earlier in the stream. And he's like, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, everybody is. When are we going to stop? When are we going to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt? Maybe they just don't deserve it.
For the doubt, but every story that they make with Zuvul seems so fucking forced.
Jorval's floating balls,
It is
man.
so forced. The dude does not fit into these stories, and yet here he is. Right, here he is. At least make it so that Sargeras was the one who sent Argus to take down the Arbiter. And maybe Sargeras did it because he was trying to wake up the other Eternal Ones to realize that Zuvul was pulling strings within the real world, and they were basically just blindly following. But now Sargeras, literally one of the most beloved villains in World of Warcraft, have been turned into nothing more than an idiot that just follows the rules.
Everybody
Zuvul says
is an
jump,
idiot.
and he says how high? How high would you like me to jump, sir? Happy to be on board.
Yeah.
Tired, bro. So tired of this.
It's not just Zovul. It's Zovul and pretty much anyone that Blizzard hires at this point, it feels like. Because, you know, there is like a fanboy aspect to pretty much... And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, because, you know, it's cool that people are passionate about something. It's just that Blizzard exploits that passion. Straight up. Straight up exploits people. It's disgusting. But, 'tis what it is. And Zovul's gonna continue not making any fucking sense. Because like I said, we're at that point where it's like literally anything bad that happens, it's all part of Zovul's plans. Like some random person cuts the cheese in the middle of a dwarven tavern, like a random dwarf farts in a tavern, and Blizzard's gonna be like, you know, somehow I think that this links back to Zovul's plan. Yeah, the fact that this random dwarf that drank too much ale and then cut the cheese, this was clearly a part of Zovul's plans. You guys are just not smart enough to understand it. You're just not smart enough to completely understand the genius of Zovul. He's brilliant, you see. And the thing is, you need to be on the same level as Zovul to understand Zovul. But the only person on the same level as Zovul is Steve Denuser. So he's the only one. This is why they need to make videos explaining to us the story and why the water is so amazing that you can walk on it. Because clearly we wouldn't be able to figure that shit out by ourselves, because otherwise we would have, right? You know, it's just one of those things, man. It's a good thing that these people are here to teach us all about Zovul's brilliant master plan that has been going on since Warcraft 3. That was totally not just shoehorned last minute into the fucking Shadowlands because they wanted to do it, you know? But I'll give you what, dude? I'll give you something, right? At least he's got nipples. Okay? At least the man's got a good set of nipples, and they weren't scared of showing those nipples. I'm actually surprised. That's very forward of Blizzard to show Zovul's nipples with such prominence as they did in the game. I would have expected them to, like, you know, replace those nipples with a bowl of fruit as well. Because, I mean, you know, it's pretty prude there, Blizzard. I don't know how the investors are going to feel about that, man. You know, gotta give them bowls of fruit. Replace those nipples with a pear, you know? Something like that. That was the cheese of death. The one seal holding him back, the dwarf. The dwarf was the seal. So he can breastfeed the Blizzard in place. Oh no, dude. No. Not like this. Not like this. Oh my god. I should actually eat, but I also wanted to see the other one because there's another one. Blizzard even
okay, Pringles. Very good question.
Wait. Blizzard isn't even trying to make sense anymore.
Okay, Pringles. Very good question. What do I think will happen if this is Blizzard's response to every single expansion that requires a fix? Maybe the expansion isn't hitting as well as it should. I don't see that changing. Blizzard have never changed. They did that with WoD. They did it.
I would argue that Blizzard has changed a significant amount. Back in the day, they were at least trying to do something decent. Nowadays, everything just reeks of engagement. Engagement! Engagement! It's all about the engagement! Channeling my inner James Stephanie Sterling here. Engagement!
With Battle for Azeroth. And now they're doing it with Shadowlands, right? I don't think that will ever change. You see, and that to me is everything that is wrong with Blizzard Entertainment. Everything in a nutshell, what is wrong with Blizzard Entertainment. You Monkies, thank you very much for the Prime sub, really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are far too kind. So, how do you learn? In general, in life, how do you learn? You learn by making mistakes.
You make mistakes,
right?
Yeah.
And then having to fix those mistakes. Oftentimes, finding the solution to a mistake is actually the biggest learning curve. Because by finding that solution to said mistake, you learn what not to do, right? You learn how to not repeat that mistake in the future. The problem with World of Warcraft and Blizzard specifically is that as soon as they've made a mistake, as soon as the expansion turns out not as good as they had hoped, they give up. They just sort of throw their hands in the air and go, fuck it, right? Throw your hands in the air like you just don't care. Whoop, whoop. That's it. That's Blizzard.
Forget about
That's
fixing
Ian
things.
in a nutshell. I think, and I'll go so far as to say, I'm almost 100% certain of this. The success of Final Fantasy XIV is owed in almost all parts to the failure of Final Fantasy 1.0. I believe that in having to fix Final Fantasy 1.0 and having to go through every fucking line in that game, every piece of code, everything that they built, I believe that was their biggest learning curve.
I think that not only that, but on top of it, it also made them much more keenly aware of the importance of their player base, because they have become they're very in tune with, at least for the most part, it feels like they're very in tune with the player base's needs, and at the same time, it removed arrogance. Because, like, in case you guys didn't know, there was an interview a while back of the director that was behind Final Fantasy 1.0. And I watched this interview, and apparently it was somebody asking them, why isn't there a jump button? And his response to this was he laughed at it. Like, he scoffed this person off. Like, it's like, jump button? What the fuck do you need a jump button? Come on, man. You have no idea. I know what I'm doing. Jump button in an MMO. Why would you need a jump button, right? And it's like, you look at Yoshi P and you never see stuff like that. As a matter of fact, you tend to see the opposite, which is usually stuff that players suggest ends up making its way into the game. Which, by the way, Yoshi P, I just want to make a quick suggestion while we're at it. Like, very important. Can I please have pure strafing in legacy mode movement with a controller? Thank you. Like, is like if I go over here. And wait, you guys can't actually see it. Let me change the visual real quick so that you guys can see it, right? If I go over here to this menu and I have standard type and legacy type, and there's no way on a controller to do legacy type and strafe. There's no pure strafe. It's like some weird amalgamation where the camera turns whenever I turn, and I don't like it. I want strafe in legacy mode. So like I want it so that when I move sideways, it strafes like it's standard type, but if I go back, I don't want the slow back. I want the regular back. Can I have that on a controller? Please, 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 please. If there's one feature that I can request for, this is the one. Like out of anything that I could ask for, this would be my contribution to Final Fantasy XIV, all right? Just throwing it out there. Anyway, back to the video.
This is how Yoshi P and his team realized what never to do again. Because they actually went through it. They actually fixed it.
That's not I mean, yes, they went through it, they fixed it, but yeah, never mind. He's right.
With World of Warcraft, Ian, you see, the problem with fixing things is it takes time, and also it's not very profitable. Because here's how Blizzard fixes World of Warcraft right now as things.
Speaking of profits, I saw a vid, and I'm sorry for pausing so much, but like I saw a podcast from Work to Game where I think Brian was the one doing like the math on how much it costs Square Enix to give players 21 days of free time at the launch of the new expansion. And I think he estimated to like $45 million or something like that. Which I'm not sure anything about those numbers, right? Could be completely wrong, could be accurate. I mean, I would defer to him because he knows more about 14 than I will, at least for a good long while, because he's been playing it since like, I was about to say he's been playing 14 since 11. It's more like he was playing 11 and then he was playing 14 and all of that, right? But, yeah, it's like, just think about it like that, right? How much money is Square Enix losing just to try and do the right thing by their player base? It's insane. It's insane. You think Blizzard would do that? You crazy. You're insane, dude. No way they would do that. Ever.
They put out a blue post, right? And in the blue post, they say, hey guys, we're working on 9.2. At the end of 9.2, there will likely be an incredible drought. We are talking anywhere from a year to 2 years that there's no new content coming out in World of Warcraft. We apologize ahead of time to everyone that was looking forward to the next expansion, but World of Warcraft have some incredible failures that we need to solve. We need to figure out how to fix these failures. Will the player base be upset? Of course they will. Oh, fucking course they will. There's always going to be people that is incredibly angry about stuff like that. But then you actually sit down and you look at the game line by line and you go, right, what do we fix? How do we fix it? What's wrong? Why is it wrong? No money is coming in. Remember, people are going to unsub within 6 months, 7 months. Your sub numbers are going to drop like a fucking rock, right? But here's the thing. If you do it well, if you do it really well, you'll win back all of your old players and then some. Because you can say right now, yeah, I'll fucking leave, I'll never play again. You're a liar. You are a liar if you say that. I guarantee you right now, if Blizzard comes out tomorrow and says, right guys, there's going to be a 2-year drought because we're fixing World of Warcraft, the day the next game is fucking announced, you're pre-ordering that shit immediately. If for the only reason
No, I'm not pre-ordering it. No, not really. I don't trust them. Like I'll watch somebody play it. I'll see if it looks like they've done significant changes, but I will definitely not pre-order it. They don't deserve that. They literally don't deserve it. Like, listen, there's a reason why I've been curious about like certain Ubisoft games and I haven't bought them. Right? Like, of course I would be interested in playing like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's Vikings. It's Assassin's Creed Vikings. Why wouldn't I want to play that? But I didn't play it because I got burned when I played the previous one. And I just think that Ubisoft is a shit company, period. And they don't deserve my money. And the more Ubisoft announces like literally anything, the less inclined to give them my money I am. So it's like, no, even if Blizzard suddenly goes like, oh, we're going to take 2 years, we're going to fix everything, it's still not going to be enough for me to pre-order the next game. No, it's not.
Reason, curiosity. You want to know if can it be done? Is it good now? Everyone will pre-order that game. So
No.
It will pay off in the long run.
It's too late.
It's not going to pay off in the short term. And Blizzard doesn't think long term.
Exactly.
Blizzard
They
only
don't.
thinks short term.
They
If it can't
1,000%
make money
don't.
in the short term, it's not worth our time. That's why Blizzard never fixes any expansions whatsoever. They simply give up on them. Because to fix Shadowlands would be far too much work. It's easier to just go fuck it next expansion.
Yep.
We'll see what happens next time.
Which is what they're going to do.
So Blizzard will never learn from their mistakes.
Nope.
And while 9.2 is doing a lot of the right work, right? It's doing a lot of good things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend for a moment that 9.2 isn't on the right track. It's doing some really cool things, and it seems like Blizzard really is.
I mean, we're going to be able to walk on that fucking water, dude. And it's got floating balls. Good shit. Okay, that's unfair. I couldn't resist it, though. It's a little bit unfair. Yeah, it's a little bit unfair. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, sure.
Learning, for example, the cipher of the first ones has 0 player power tied to it. You don't have to do it if you're a raider. You don't have to touch the cipher of the first ones. That's brilliant. That's not bad.
Has
Good,
that been confirmed?
Right? That's what we wanted.
I'm assuming yes, because
it's
he
been
wouldn't talk out of
uncoupled
his
from
ass.
its player power sort of links, and is now something that simply stands on its own. That's good.
Look at that.
That's perfect.
It only took like 2 years or however long it was.
But then it still makes a bunch of mistakes. For example, in its story, as we've already discussed, you cannot tell an epic story based on a story that no one is following. That doesn't work, right? You have to restart, you have to reset, you have to figure out how do I get people to care. And a simple cinematic isn't going to do the trick. Unless it's like a 10-minute long cinematic. It's not going to do the trick. It's not going to teach players why they should care about this story. Blizzard won't do that. So to answer your question, what will happen? World of Warcraft will continue to have hit and misses. I mean, World of Warcraft have been famous for their hit and miss expansion launches. You know, one expansion is brilliant, another one sucks. One expansion is brilliant, another one sucks. This is the first time that Blizzard have had 2 sucky expansions in a row. And I imagine we're going to get more of those sucky expansions. I imagine the next expansion will probably be good because Blizzard is really bothered and really worried.
It's not. This is copium. This is hardcore copium.
I think the one after that will probably be sort of bad again. And then the one after that will be kind of good again. And then, you know, maybe a couple of bad ones. Then a good one. I think it will continue like that. It will continue limping along until it dies. Because that's all it can do. The developers at Blizzard Entertainment, it's not even that they're not talented enough or qualified enough. Talent is only one half of the
motivated
picture, right?
enough.
Success isn't only determined by talent. It's also determined by actual work done, right? Just because you're talented at playing tennis doesn't mean you're going to be Roger Federer. You also have to practice. When you have developers that do not practice, they think about it. What is World of Warcraft right now? Ladies and gentlemen in chat, if you had to answer this specific question, what is World of Warcraft? What genre game is it?
It's a mobile game.
I don't call it an MMO.
World of Warcraft right now is literally a mobile game, and anyone who says anything else is on copium. It's literally a mobile game that you can only play on PC. Like, look at all of the systems that the game has on it. It's a fucking mobile game. I mean, how could you not say that it's a mobile game? It's 1,000% a mobile game. It has all of the trappings of a free-to-play mobile game. So it's a free-to-play mobile game, except you're paying a monthly fee to play it. That's what World of Warcraft is. I don't see how you can answer any other way.
RPG. I think it's completely wrong to call it an MMORPG. I think Neo is far closer to correct. I think World of Warcraft right now is far closer to a looter shooter than what it is an MMO. Think about it. What is a looter shooter? A looter shooter is where you do the same activities over and over again for loot, right? You equip the loot, or you sell the loot, or you disenchant the loot, and then you do the same activities over and over and over and over and over again. That's all World of Warcraft is. When you go to max level in World of Warcraft, you either do dungeons for loot, or you do raids for loot, or you do PvP for loot. But at the end of the day, there's very little, if any, MMORPG elements to it. So when you think about the developers that is currently working on World of Warcraft, they can't make an MMO because they've never made an MMO. They are making a looter shooter, and it is failing. Why? Because there's never been a truly successful looter shooter. Warframe is the only one that manages to do it, and it's because they consistently bring out new updates.
Define successful. Because, like, if successful means good, then yes, you're right. I mean, I guess Borderlands is a good and successful looter shooter, because I did like Borderlands 2, even if I did eventually got burned out on trying like 3 or anything like that. I just wasn't into it. But I guess it was successful and it was fun and it was good. But like, if you're talking strictly successful, Destiny is wildly successful. Destiny is brutally successful. It's not good, but it's successful. The only good thing about Destiny is the shooting. That's it. They have the best shooting in the business. And that's it. That's where it ends. It's got nothing else.
Destiny is fine, but it's comparatively niche, right? Even Warframe, for sake
What? Destiny's not niche at all. What are you talking about? Destiny's like the most mainstream, one of the most mainstream games you can think of right now.
Thanks for the follow. Really appreciate that. Even Warframe is a fairly niche game.
Free-to-play mobile game.
It's not played by hundreds of millions of fucking players around the world. It's played by some, right? People who like looter shooters. The issue with World of Warcraft is
maybe not hundreds of millions.
A looter shooter that caters to MMO players because it used to be an MMO. And that's where the problem lies. Most looter shooters don't do well. You have to consistently bring out new content. And that's why, by the way, I believe World of Warcraft has finally been exposed. When Blizzard was bringing out new content literally every single 3 months or every 4 months, people didn't notice the holes and the gaps in the game. It wasn't until 9 months went by that players finally realized, hold on, the fuck am I playing here? This isn't the WoW that I got used to. This isn't the WoW that I want to play. What that?
I still don't think that looter shooter is an apt comparison, because there's grinding in looter shooters, but I don't think it's on the same level as the grinding that you have to do in WoW. At least that's my opinion on that.
How is this? And now it's sort of everywhere, right? I hope that answers the question.
Interesting take, but yeah, lots and lots of problems, as we've come to expect. By the way, I'm going to link both of Accolon's videos that we just watched in chat, and I want you to make sure to go there and give the man a like. Man deserves support. Does good shit.